Hi, welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All Missouri Students, sponsored by the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at moacac.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that time, or at that same website, moacac.org. I'm now going to turn it over to our presenters.
All right, thank you so much, Heather, for that introduction. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We are so excited to have you here and to be able to spend this time with you. My name is Stephen Barnes, and I am an Assistant Director of Admission at Columbia College Chicago. And I am specifically the admission counselor that works with students from Missouri. So really excited to be here tonight and be able to chat with you and kind of put that face with the name so that you know who you can reach out to if you have any questions about Columbia. I'm also joined this evening by my colleague, Marty. I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna get started.
Hey, thanks, Stephen, and thanks again, Heather, students, guests, partners, thanks for being here. My name's Marty. I'm also an Assistant Director of Admissions at Columbia, and I work mostly with students from California and the Southwest United States. So it's good to be joining back home in the Midwest with you all this evening. Thanks for being here.
Awesome, thanks, Marty. So this evening we are going to be chatting with you about the process of applying to and considering art schools in your college search. And of course, from the perspective of us here at Columbia. So sharing a little with you about Columbia and sort of using us as an example, but really want to give you sort of a broad stroke idea of this process of considering and applying to art schools. I will mention that we've got the Q&A feature turned on, so you are welcome to drop any questions that you might have in that Q&A box, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. Since there's two of us here tonight, we'll be able to kind of answer as we go along, either directly to you or even as we speak in the presentation. And then at the end, we'll make sure to take a little bit of time for any additional questions as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. By way of introduction, just want to share with you a little bit of background about Columbia. So the little elevator pitch, as it were, Columbia College Chicago is a mid-size liberal arts institution with a focus on the creative industries. And we are based right in the heart of downtown Chicago. So we are in the South Loop neighborhood of Chicago, which is right in sort of the major, business and tourist district, very hustle bustle, busy part of the city, just steps away from beautiful Millennium Park and the lakefront. So we are decidedly an urban campus environment rather than your sort of traditional college campus that you might think of. And as I said, we are a liberal arts school with a focus on the creative industry. So what does that mean? We are an institution definitely focused on the arts and offering a wide variety of opportunities within the arts, but all within that liberal arts college sort of environment. So we do require our students to take a core of central liberal arts and sciences courses. So humanities and social sciences and math and science, all with the idea that this is going to influence your creative practice and the work that you're putting out. And we also bring into that business expertise. So encouraging our students to understand basic business concepts and entrepreneurial skills and contemporary technology, providing you with that broad base of critical thinking and transferable skills that are going to prepare you for the realities of the working world after you graduate from Columbia. So what can you expect from the Columbia experience? First of all, the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago is our home. It is our front yard, our backyard. It is our playground. So you are going to be in the third largest city in the country with easy access to the vibrant cultural and artistic community that exists here, and absolutely should expect that all the opportunities of the city of Chicago are going to be a part of your experience here. And then we have this idea of collaboration with difference. So as you can imagine, any student who's going to be going on into the creative industries has to know and learn how to collaborate cross-disciplinarily with others who are working in related fields, right? So for example, if you're a student who is thinking about filmmaking and you want to be a director, awesome. But guess what? You're going to have to know how to work with those who are doing the technical behind the scenes stuff. You're going to have to know how to work with actors and with agents. You're going to have to know how to work with folks who are doing marketing and advertising and public relations to get the word about your film out there. And so at Columbia, you're going to be surrounded by this community of unique creative students who are working in all these different areas and have to sort of create those collaborative relationships across the college. And part of that also has to do with the diversity of our community, which we feel reflects the diversity of our home base in Chicago. So our students are coming from all 50 states, 60 different countries. Our students are nearly 50% identifying as students of color, nearly a third identifying as a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, and 16% of our students are first-generation students who are the first in their family to go to college. So our students are coming from all walks of life, all forms of life experience, and learning to live with and collaborate with that form of difference and learn from each other in the classroom is a huge part of the experience you're going to have here. Next is the hands-on learning component. We can't be a creative-driven school if we're not providing a wealth of hands-on learning opportunity. The goal is, by the time you graduate, that you will have a full portfolio of output, whether that's product or projects that you've completed or physical pieces of art or recordings of yourself performing, but that you're going to have this portfolio of work and accomplishment that you can then demonstrate as you are going out into the world and looking for your next job opportunity or your next project or whatever that case might be. So lots of hands-on learning opportunities, both in your classroom experiences, but also in terms of internship opportunities and student organizations and leadership opportunities and cultural events within the city of Chicago that you're going to get connected to. Lots to speak on there. And then finally, again, career preparation. So as I mentioned before, we're a creative industry-driven school, industry-focused school. So the idea is that we want to prepare you for the current realities of working in these industries. So our professors are not just faculty members, and I say just, of course, that's a huge job with a lot of responsibility, but they are also creatives who are practicing in their field currently. So they are bringing that contemporary knowledge into the classroom. They have large networks of current acting professionals to connect you with. And so between your faculty relationships and mentorship and our career center and the internship opportunities you're going to have, the whole goal is to prepare you for the reality of being able to go out there and be career ready and be competitive for those industries. So moving away from the Columbia specific piece, want to get into just sort of this idea of considering and applying for art schools. And really at the end of the day, this piece of the conversation is all about fit. It's all about what are you looking for? What do you want in your college experience? And if you can sort of do some reflecting on that, then you'll be able to answer the question of, what kind of a school might be a good fit for you. Right here, you see the word art school sort of in quotes. And the idea there is just that there's a lot of different ideas out there about what is an art school, what does it mean to go to an art school. And so we want to try to demystify a little bit of that. So things that you're going to be thinking about, what type of setting do you want for school? What type of training are you looking for? What kind of artistical philosophy or teaching philosophy is going to best align with your process and the type of product you want to put out? Are you going to want to focus your studies just in one specific area, or are you going to want to be able to study outside the arts a little bit? You also have to think about physical location. Are you more interested in an urban setting or a suburban setting or a rural setting? Are you interested in a school like Columbia with this vibrant urban campus that's not traditional, or are you looking for more of that traditional college campus, sort of the quad and the dorms right there and all of that kind of thing, right? And so in terms of the different types of schools, it's sort of a few main categories to be considering. First up is conservatories. So conservatories are going to be, I'm sure you sort of have this sort of idea in your head already, or the stereotype in your head already, but these are going to be the more intense programs that are intensely focused on a specific area. You are going in to study musical theater or to study dance or to study filmmaking or visual art. And so you're not going to have a lot of academic coursework outside of your discipline. These programs tend to be, again, very intense, very time intensive, and in some ways also kind of insular. So for example, if you're a performing student of some kind, you may not be allowed to perform outside of your conservatory program. You may be restricted to only what's happening within your academic program. In addition to that, these programs are going to be very competitive and operate on a system of auditions and portfolios, and based on that process, you either make it in or you don't, and if you don't, then that school may not be an option for you any longer. So just a little bit more of a rigorous sort of discipline-focused, discipline-intensive environment. Then you're going to have schools like Columbia that are liberal arts institutions with an artistic focus. So these are going to be schools where you are taking courses outside of your particular discipline that are teaching you how to think critically and teaching you how to think across disciplines, and provide you with maybe a little bit of a wider skill set and transferable skills and that sort of thing. These schools may have more credit-intensive programs like Columbia, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but we sort of have the distinction between our Bachelor of Arts programs and our Bachelor of Fine Arts programs. But nonetheless, you're going to be required to do the liberal arts courses that sort of are alongside this and help to inform that. And then finally, you've got the idea of schools within larger universities. So you may be familiar with larger state institutions or large research institutions across the country. And those schools may have within their university setup a specific school that is focused on some form of art. So you may have a school of theater or a school of visual art or a school of dance within this larger university. And so your entire application process and research process may be a little bit more hyper-focused on that school within that larger university, rather than maybe being as concerned with some of the other elements of that large school. So just some things to think about, some distinctions to think about. Another thing we would encourage you to consider and even to ask schools about as you're doing your research is the idea of educational philosophy. So you're going to have some schools that are going to take more of a technical approach. They're really going to be focused on process and the technical aspects of how you produce the product that you're putting out, right? And then you're going to have schools that are maybe more conceptual, that are really putting an emphasis on theory and philosophy and maybe the history of the practice. And then from that, really encouraging students to output new work that is expanding the genre and taking it in new, interesting, experimental directions. And then you're going to have schools that are going to kind of combine those philosophies, and I would argue that Columbia is one of those. Obviously, we're teaching the technical skills, but we are also here to push the boundaries of what is our art saying and how does it operate in the modern world. The phrase we use is that we're here to teach our students to be the authors of their culture, the authors of their time. And so we're, again, kind of a blend of those things. You're also going to have schools that are going to maybe take a more traditional approach, more classical, again, teaching you sort of that historical background and theory, and really focus on the classics. And then you're going to have schools that are going to take more of a contemporary approach. And again, I would say that Columbia is more in that contemporary sort of mindset of really preparing students for the realities of these industries in the current day. So again, some things to think about, things that hopefully give you some fodder to ask questions as you do start talking to schools, so that you can really get down to that heart of the matter, which is fit. What kind of school are you looking for? What are you looking to get out of your education? And by asking some of these questions, hopefully you're going to find a school that is, in fact, a great fit for you. All right, I have said enough. I'm going to pass it off to my friend Marty here, who is going to chat with you. Oh, no, I lied. I've got one more slide to talk about. Then I'm going to pass it off to Marty. My mistake. So having said all of that about the different types of schools, we wanted to have a chance to highlight for you some of what we offer here at Columbia. We do have over 60 majors, and then when you bring in our minors, over 100 academic programs to choose from. So a lot of unique things to pick from, but also a lot of ways to kind of blend those interests that you might have because of that liberal arts approach that we're taking. So generally speaking, you could say that our majors fall in these sort of major areas or buckets. So business and management, communication and writing, media and digital arts, music and sound, performing arts, and visual arts. This is not the full list. I would encourage you to check out colum.edu/majors if you want to explore a little bit more. That site is going to talk to you a little bit about the curriculums required in those areas, our cool alumni who are doing amazing things, our faculty that are teaching in those programs, the facilities that you'll be using within those programs. But again, just such a wide variety of great things to explore here. Another thing I'd like to highlight is that many of these areas do provide opportunities for co-curricular involvement that might go beyond what you are majoring. So you might be interested in studying advertising and public relations because you want to work on more of the business side of the creative industries, but you might have also been involved in theater in high school and really want to continue performing. Well, guess what? Our theater program does 40 productions a year, and students outside the major are welcome to apply to audition for many of the productions and still stay involved in that way. You may have been doing music in high school and you still want to be able to practice your instrument and keep up with that. We've got music practice rooms across campus, and you might want to be able to do that even though you've actually gone on to study game design because you're really interested in video games too, and you want to produce the next awesome game that everybody's going to be talking about. So there are a lot of ways to, again, combine your interests and to learn here at Columbia. And we're really excited for you to explore all of that. All right, now I'm going to pass it off to Marty.
Thank you, Stephen. And a great segue talking about, double majoring or even kind of dipping your interests as a student in multiple areas, multiple majors. I want to kind of talk about the differences in degrees that you might be working towards as a college student. And I do want to center this a little bit on that same vantage point of fit. What is going to serve you best? I don't want this to come across as one being better than the other, because ultimately it's going to be about which degree is going to be the best for you. So probably the most common degree type that students across college earn is a Bachelor of Arts degree. And so very generally speaking, but specific to Columbia, a Bachelor of Arts degree, often referred to as the BA, is a very flexible degree. You'll find it has a flexible curriculum structure. You'll have some credits and some things that are kind of laid out and spelled out for you that you're going to need to do, but you'll have a lot of room for exploration. Maybe you will pick up a second major. Maybe you just want to try a class because it sounds interesting. That's really the advantage of a Bachelor of Arts degree, because there is that exploration. So at Columbia, students who earn, say, a Bachelor of Arts in music, a third of their classes overall as a Columbia student are going to be music classes. And then a third of your classes are going to be in those essential liberal arts classes. So you'll take some math, some science, some history, some humanities classes. But my friends, that leaves you an entire third of your overall college credits that you get to choose what you do with them. So again, if you want to double major, if you just want to explore, if you want to take some time to figure out if you want to double major, you really have that latitude in the Bachelor of Arts degree. On the other end, there are Bachelor of Fine Arts degrees and Bachelor of Music degrees, oftentimes abbreviated BFA or BMUS or BM. These programs are specific, as I'm mentioning them, it's going to be specific to Columbia, but you will probably see this congruent with other colleges out there. So the BFA or the BMUS programs, these are very structured. They are very sequenced. You kind of know what courses you need to take each semester, and they kind of build upon each other. The course in your first semester is kind of maybe a foundational course that teaches you how you would be successful in your second semester course, and you're just building that work and that experience on top of each other. In these programs, specifically 2/3 of your overall classes as a student are in your major. So if you are a BFA musical theater student at Columbia, for example, you'll have 2/3 of your overall classes somehow related to musical theater. And in our degree programs, 1/3 of the liberal arts classes is still a part of your Columbia experience. And so sometimes these programs, they feel maybe more rigid. And I don't, again, want to position that as a bad thing, but if you know that you're a student who just really wants to focus on one type of art or one type of practice, that's really the goal of these Bachelor of Fine Arts and Bachelor of Music programs, is just to really give you a super, super, super deep dive in the subject matter. So we're going to talk next a little bit about starting to get into the audition and the application process. but just some very general information. And this is certainly true across any arts college and really probably any college that's out there. So all colleges are going to want to see you as a student come through in your admissions application. We want to get to know you through this process. The application, though, might only be one part of us getting to know you. Maybe we're going to get to know you today if you have some questions for us. And by the way, the Q&A chat is open. So you'll probably submit your application, and then we will ask for your grades or your transcripts. You might have an essay or some type of writing sample that you'll be supplying. You might also submit letters of recommendation. These might come from a teacher, a counselor, a coach, etc. But artists also sometimes do things like create an artist statement. And that is maybe a bit of, text that says, this is me, this is the work I'm experienced, and this is where I see myself, advancing further as a creative individual. You might also put together a creative resume, and maybe it's a listing of sorts that shows all of the productions that you've been a part of, or all the art shows that you've submitted work to. And then there will probably be a part of your application process where you will submit an audition or a portfolio. So very generally, colleges are looking for well-rounded students. We want to get to know you again through this process. So we'll kind of get to know you through your academics, but we also want to get to know you through your arts and through your ambition as a creative student. I think generally speaking, art schools want to see some level of your dedication to your creative work. So it's okay if you haven't had a lot of training, but we want to know that that's where you're at in your process. If you are a student, though, who's been dancing since they could walk, we would also really love to know that about you, to understand where you'd be teaching and learning at our institutions. And then most importantly, and I think this is sage advice for college period, is colleges want to see that you're willing to learn and collaborate and again, take that direction. You're joining a community if and when you go to a college. And so we want to know that you're really going to be excited and take advantage of all the learning and resources that we have to offer. So on to some specific, or segueing into some specific information, auditions and portfolios. And my friends, this will get very, very, very specific from school to school to school. So this is just very general information. I think the most important thing to note in this slide is the third point from the last is ask questions. Your admissions counselor, your admissions representative, the person that you're talking to at that school or those schools that you're applying to, we are here to support you throughout this process. So if there's any questions or if you need clarification on any of the audition or portfolio guidelines or requirements, please just ask. So starting from the top, and this is probably even more true now, given our current setting than in previous times, it's really important to stay organized. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I like to keep lists, and I try to keep them organized with spreadsheets. There's obviously lots of ways you'll find an organizational method that will probably work for you, but thinking about every school having a different process, that might also mean that every school has a different deadline. So create some sort of system that you can kind of keep track of. Did you submit your audition or your portfolio by this date? Did you submit your application by this date? Very generally speaking, the audition and portfolio process, we want to see your breadth and your depth as a creative. We're not expecting you to be the best singer we've ever heard. And we certainly hear those vocals from our students, absolutely. But we want to get to know you as a creative human being. So we want to get to know you again through this process. Once more, this process is also meant to just kind of understand how you take direction and how you collaborate with other people. Art itself is a collaborative process. So we want to get to know how you'll collaborate. And then this is a great exercise to start talking about your work. Stephen mentioned career preparation and kind of the experiences of life after college. As artists, we're always talking about our work. We're always trying to get people interested in our work. Maybe we're going to collaborate with people and we have to talk about our experiences in our work. So inherently, the audition and portfolio process is also an educational process. And it will allow you, I think, to do some deep self-reflection and understand what it is that you're interested in pursuing, and again, really centering that around the fit. Once more, ask questions and ask for feedback. The audition and portfolio process is also going to allow you to hear how other people are experiencing your work. And as we kind of segue into the next slides, when you're sharing your work, if you're sharing your work on a website or a YouTube link, make your files public. Now, protect your work, no doubt, but if you are sending us a link to look at your portfolio or your audition, we won't know your password and we're not going to ask for your password. So make those things securely public. And then lastly, be confident in your abilities. We know you're awesome. We just want to get to know your awesome self. And let's try and have some fun with this, right? Creative work is fun. So on to some kind of themes that you'll see in the audition process. And again, this isn't necessarily specific to Columbia, but you will see this at a lot of schools. The audition itself is meant to not only get to know you, but to also see your creative and expressive facility. We want to see what you've got to offer. How are you going to come and bring your talents to our school? In this climate, we are just seeing so many schools, including us, we're doing digital auditions this year. So there won't be any in-person audition experiences, unfortunately. So, as you're starting to get to know your colleges and, keep yourself organized, it's going to be really important to know which schools are going to be asking you to submit a digital audition and which schools might be asking you to do an in-person audition. So you'll probably start assembling some things like, recordings of work or recording yourself auditioning. Maybe you need to put together a resume to show the work that you've done. If you're a performing arts student, you're probably going to be asked to submit a headshot. So get those things in order and again, keep yourself organized. And generally speaking, any type of audition, we want to see, a difference in your ability. So contrasting styles. Maybe you're going to play two musical pieces. Maybe you're going to perform 2 dance routines. So we want to kind of see your breadth again through these opportunities. Auditions for yourself should include warm-up time. Especially if you're doing a digital audition, don't just sign into Zoom without taking time to practice. Make sure that you practice and stretch before your audition and then log into Zoom or then join the class. You'll probably get to perform things that you've prepared. So get to really know that work. If you're doing an in-person audition, there will probably be some type of group exercise. So maybe you're working with other theater students or you're working with other dance students or other musicians. Technical work is really a foundation for a lot of the art that we're teaching. So musicians specifically, you'll probably need to show a little bit of your scales, and sight reading as the next line is. But again, we're here to teach you these things. So if you're not super comfortable with sight reading, it's okay. We just want to know where you're at in your process. And then again, you're going to talk to faculty members. You're going to probably talk to other students through this audition process. So really being able to share your experiences and take direction is also a part of it. And then lastly, because so much of this is looking like it's going to be a digital process for the next few months, you'll probably be sharing a lot of pre-recorded pieces. So now's a great time to start, recording your work, save your samples, just keep yourself organized knowing what the schools are going to require. On sort of the opposite side with portfolios, and this being kind of outside of the music, theater, dance programs, portfolios, for visual artists, fashion designers, marketers, this is a way for us and the faculty members to get to know you through your creative process. And oftentimes you're submitting, a digital portfolio. Portfolios should demonstrate, we think, your knowledge of the subject. So if you're a visual artist, we want to see some understanding of color theory, kind of getting to know your compositional techniques and your organization for your portfolio. And generally, portfolios should be cohesive in nature. I like to kind of think about a portfolio as being like a novel, a great novel. It's clearly got a beginning. It's got an awesome middle, the good stuff. And then there's an end, there's a conclusion, and it all works together. So think about your portfolio, not just a collection of all of your work, but try to kind of tell your story through the pieces that you're using in your portfolio. And in general, most schools will ask to submit 10 to 20 samples. So this could be 10 to 20 photographs. This could be 10 to 20 charcoal drawings, some paintings. 15 is kind of the sweet spot, if you will. Film samples. So if you're a film student and you're, uploading a film sample, those will probably be kept to 3 to 10 minutes. Unfortunately, most colleges don't ask for your 90-minute feature film. So share with us the best 3 to 10 minutes. And again, really hone in on that story. So your digital portfolios will probably include, again, things like observational drawings, still life, figure drawings. And my friends, right now, while you're maybe spending a lot of time at home, start working on your observational drawings. Look out your windows and start using the spaces that you have to really be contributing to work. Again, film students, you'll probably assemble a 3 to 10 minute, film reel or sort of compilation of films. And then, of course, students who are writing screenplays, you'll submit text. Maybe you've made an animated film. Photography students, maybe you're going to submit 15 images. Maybe you're a game designer and you want to show us your characters or your costumes. And maybe you're a theater student who's built sets and you show us pictures of the work that you've done. You're a fashion student. You've showed us sketches or images of the fashion you've created. And lastly, creative writing students. Maybe you're writing poetry, so you'll submit 10 to 20 samples of poetry. So again, here, I think it's really important to stay organized, really getting to know what's required of you in this portfolio process. Let's acknowledge that a lot of this is going to be digital, but most importantly, your admissions counselor, your admissions rep, we're here to help you. So if you have any questions throughout this process, reach out to us. Every school that you're going to be looking at applying to, in particular at Columbia, we've got a great team of people who want to help you and support you through this process and really make sure that you're completing this as thoroughly and transparently and as holistically as you are, because again, we really want to get to know you through the audition and the portfolio process. And last but not least, just remember to have some fun with this. This is supposed to be a celebration of you, the great work that you've done at this point, and also getting really excited about the great work that you can create as a student at Columbia. So my friends, thank you for your attention here. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen and just acknowledge that we've got some awesome questions in the chat. Shall we start with those? Or
Yeah, thanks so much, Marty. So yeah, before we get into the questions, just I want to point one more time to our info here. Please feel free to screenshot or take a picture with your phone or whatever so that you've got our names and contact info. And once again, I am your admission counselor from Missouri, and so I'm happy to be your first line of contact and here to answer any questions and help guide you through the process. So we've got about 15 minutes left, and we definitely welcome questions. We've already got a couple great ones, so we're going to start there. Feel free to drop anything else that you might have in the Q&A, and we're just going to knock these out. So the first question is Columbia a nonprofit? And the answer is absolutely yes. Yeah, we are a nonprofit, private four-year college. And then all the other things we've talked about, a liberal arts institution with a focus on the creative industries. But yes, we are definitely a nonprofit. And then let's see, would a traditional animation BFA portfolio require a film reel? I actually don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. Do you? Because I'm happy to look it up too. But Marty, do you?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. No, it's all right.
Mute button. So I'm going to actually, Angelina, thank you for that awesome question. I'm going to drop a link to our portfolio guidelines. So you have them all handy.
I think you only be able to drop it. Can you drop it to somebody directly?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And for all of you who are listening, if you go to colum.edu/BFA, you'll find our portfolio and audition guidelines. And I'm going to read verbatim, just in the interest of being super transparent here. For this particular application year, for students who are applying into a computer animation program, we are asking that you write an essay and you submit a portfolio piece. We are asking for two things. So not just a film, a digital sample. We really want a reflective essay to go along with that. So let's say you submit, a 5-minute film sample. We ask for no more than 7 minutes, but you submit a 5-minute film sample of an animated film you've done, and then talk about that in your essay. Talk about your creative process. Did you win an award for this? Was this an assignment? We want to get to know you through this work, but maybe you haven't done a fully animated film yet, and maybe you've just got a script. So submit some scripts, submit some samples of your script. And again, use your essay to talk about why you're writing the story that you're writing. And then again, maybe you don't have a script, but maybe you've got some drawings or some sort of ideas for this animated film. You could submit those samples too. But again, you're going to really frame your essay talking about why you're producing the work that you're producing. And I want to make a very general statement just about film and animation and, the media arts in general. And this is something I'm hearing so much more and more now lately, which is awesome. But this has really been the center of Columbia's media arts program, is that it's all about the story. So we really don't care how good it looks, or, you know, you have the best, slickest computer, software, hardware. We don't care about any of that. We want to know how great your story is. And so not only are you going to share your storytelling abilities, but you're also going to share us your story when you're submitting your portfolio, because you're going to write about it when you're submitting your film or your animated film, or your drawings or your photographs. So it's very much about the story at Columbia College Chicago. And thanks again for that question. Maggie
Awesome.
has a great question about internship opportunities and also studying abroad. So I'm gonna, let's A and B this. I'll start with study abroad, and if you wanna chat about internships. So we absolutely have study abroad programs. However, they are on pause at the moment, as you might imagine. There are a couple different ways that our students can and do study abroad at Columbia. We have students who do exchange programs. So thinking about a group of Columbia students going to another university for a semester, sometimes longer, and that university also is sending students to Columbia. And we teach and learn through a lot of creative work at those universities. So you're kind of being a Columbia student, but joining another university for a semester, and probably doing work that's, you know, somehow related to the creative industries, the things that we do at Columbia. Then there's a second way that is more of a faculty-led study abroad program. And I think these are the most sort of popular ways that our students do a study abroad. And that is they go with teachers who teach at Columbia to another country for, you know, sometimes as short as a few days, but sometimes you're there for a couple weeks. And you're really learning about a lot of, you know, cultural work that that country might present in the arts or in the media or in the communications. These programs tend to happen a lot over the summer. So a lot of students, it seems, at Columbia do study abroad in the faculty-led programs, and they tend to do these over the summer. And then thirdly, there is what we call, I suppose, an independent study abroad. And this takes a lot of planning, but you have advisors at Columbia who can work very closely with you to curate or plan for an educational experience that maybe you're the only Columbia student going to join that country or that community as a student from Columbia. So one of those three ways is probably the way that students generally think about study abroad. I'll also say, not to sound a little tongue-in-cheek, but we have some domestic study abroad opportunities as well. We have a semester in LA program, semester in Los Angeles, and this is really where students move to Los Angeles or sometimes move back home to Los Angeles, and they take their entire Columbia courses in Los Angeles. This program, to the first part of your question, is actually built around an internship experience. So semester in LA is for juniors or seniors at Columbia who create or with the support of Columbia, get an internship in Los Angeles. And you go to Los Angeles, you take classes throughout the week, but you're also going to be interning in Los Angeles. So it's really kind of a combined internship with a normal educational experience. You take classes simultaneously with this internship. And it's interdisciplinary too. So, you know, yes, a lot of film and television students do semester in LA, but Stephen mentioned we have marketing students go out there. We have students who compose music for films who go out there. People who do costuming and fashion design, they go out there. So again, it's really built around the internship experience. And then there's other examples of that throughout the United States. We have students who study at the Second City Theater Company in Chicago. We've had students regularly go to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest, and, you know, they're just there for the few days of the festival. But these really do kind of contribute to studying abroad off campus, if you will, as part of your educational experience. Lastly, I'll say if study abroad period as a part of your, you know, desires as a college student, when you're picking your classes that first semester, it's a great thing to bring up with your advisor. Talk to them about, this is what I want to do. What are my possibilities? When does it make sense for me to do this? And really, what do I need to do to be prepared for that semester when I'm going to move abroad or maybe move to Los Angeles? So thanks for that question, Maggie.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked about that. Just as somebody who did study abroad in college and who believes very strongly in sort of the experiential learning that comes from it, I think it's awesome to be thinking about now. And as Marty said, definitely encourage you to bring that up early with your advisor and start exploring that no matter where you end up going to college. So kind of segueing back into the first part of the question about internships, and Marty already gave sort of one really cool, unique example, the Semester in LA program, which I know a lot of our students love taking advantage of. But the broader answer to your question is yes, there are plenty of internship opportunities. In fact, I would say, most of our students graduate with at least one internship, and some graduate with more than one, because again, hands-on learning is a key part of what we're trying to impart to our students. And we want to ensure that there's plentiful opportunities. So we do have our Career Center that will help assist with this process. They have multiple career fairs each year where you have a chance to network and chat with folks out in the industry and find out about opportunities. And then also the Career Center is going to provide coaching to help you with your interview skills, help you with just sort of building your personal brand. So they can help with editing and designing your resume, with making business cards, helping you with your online digital portfolio. So they're sort of the go-to resource for all of that. You're also going to find that as you get to know your faculty and build relationships with them, which I didn't say this at the beginning, but we're a mid-sized school. We're just about 7,000 students, the majority of which is undergrads. Our average class size is less than 18. Our student to faculty ratio is 12:1. We are talking about classroom environments where you are going to get to know your faculty well and where they are going to turn into mentors for you. And so frequently those connections are going to come from them, just from those one-off conversations that you're having with faculty and learning about the work they're doing out in the creative community and the connections that they have. Obviously, a lot of students end up interning here in Chicago, which is not a bad deal because we're a massive city with a lot of opportunity. But we do have students that will end up doing internships, maybe during the summer back in their home city or somewhere else, that they just go live somewhere for the summer and do an internship. So there's plentiful opportunity. And it's really just a matter of you speaking up early about your interests, building those faculty relationships, and do not underestimate the resource of the Career Center from day one, right? A lot of students, and this is again true of any college you go to, a lot of students don't think about having a conversation with the Career Center until they're a senior and they're trying to figure out what to do with their life, right? But if you go there from early on in your college career and start those early conversations and just explore a little bit and use the resources that they have for research, you're going to unearth a lot of opportunity and get a lot of assistance with the process rather than just sort of flailing around and being unsure what to do with yourself. So take advantage of the resources we're providing you. We've just got just a few more minutes. I would love any additional questions that you might have, but again, want to reiterate that you're welcome to reach out to us after this as well.
I want to add one thing that I was just so pleasantly reminded of. I was in a meeting earlier today with some folks across our campus on various teams, and tying to internships is also student employment and really gaining professional skills by maybe having a part-time job while you're in college. And just by the nature of that job, maybe that's going to open doors for a full-on internship or some type of, job off campus that relates to creative industries. And I know this is something that's not unique to Columbia, but maybe Columbia is in a bit of a different position in that we have just so much creative stuff happening all around our campus. There are jobs where students build websites for other students, and that's a paid job, but you're also getting that experience and you're building your portfolio. So thinking about student employment as not just a way to make money, but also a way to really gain valuable professional skills. And again, at Columbia, it's so tight knit. We know each other, and a great way to expand networking opportunities, even through student employment opportunities as well.
That's such a great point, Marty. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, we are nearing the end. Do you have some last announcements here, Heather?
I do. Thank you guys so much. All right, let me share this screen.
Do you need me to? Oh, okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Great.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. When you close this window, there's going to be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, this was just one of the many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at moacac.org. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all the other sessions recordings at moacac.org. Thank you guys, and thank you facilitators. You guys have a great day.
Thanks so much for joining us.